Hello and welcome to the New Thought Men's Podcast, where we explore what it is to be a healthy spiritual man today. I'm Eamon. It's great to have you with us. Well, welcome everyone to the New Thought Men's Podcast. I am Eamon, and today our guest is Dennis Merritt Jones. Dennis, welcome. So great to have you here.
Hey, brother. It's good to see you. Thanks for having me part of this.
Yeah. Dennis is my mentor, my ministerial mentor. So I'm just so grateful for his wisdom on so many things. You have been in the ministry for a long time. Just to be proud, I didn't mean to say it like that, but you have wisdom. You have wisdom is what I was implying. So let me just share just briefly a little bit about Dennis. Throughout his lifetime, Dennis Merritt Jones has been on a quest to inspire and uplift people to a higher expression of life, holding degrees in marketing, music, and doctorate of divinity. Dennis's vision is guiding people to purpose. You also started the Simi Valley Center for Spiritual Living, and yeah, you have done so much in your life. It would be impossible. We'd spend the whole hour talking about those things, and we could. But let's go ahead and dive into this. You just did a sharing for our summit, which was on purpose, which is very much in alignment with what you teach on vision and purpose and mission. I just wanted to go deeper into that. And I think a great place to start, which you always start, and you do it with me too. And so I appreciate it. If you ever do coaching with Dennis, it's breathe first, take a breath.
Ask that question because that's what tethers you to the present moment, which is where life has got all its gifts waiting for us to show up to receive them.
Right, for sure. So let's just take a breath here and get present and just allow the busyness of the day to fade away and to be present for this interview if you can. If you're driving, obviously drive.
With your eyes open.
With your eyes open. But you talked about our purpose as a man, and I was a little bit surprised, although not fully, because first right away you went into relationships, and I thought that was pretty cool, because that is true. We are here with 8 billion other people on this planet to be in relationship.
And anybody we connect with we're in a relationship with.
Yeah.
Stranger or family member or friend or work, it doesn't matter where we are, we're in a relationship. You can't not be in a relationship.
That's true. So you can try, but it's not going to be very successful.
And the question is, how conscious will you be in those relationships? That's the operative question.
And I think that's the crux of kind of what you were talking about. And you gave us 5 steps to rejuvenating relationships. And I'll just talk through them real quick. Reverence and respect is number 1. Clear and safe communication is number 2. Integrity and honesty, number 3. Loving kindness and compassion, 4. And non-judgment is number 5.
Question for you. Why do you think I put reverence first?
I think for me anyhow, I would say because there is something, it gets us in touch with that sense of the divine, right? To be in reverence, to be appreciative of this, little, grain of sand on the pale blue dot in the middle of this universe, in a multiverse and of this cosmos that is bigger than we can possibly even conceive. So it puts us in touch with that sense of awe and that sense of divinity, that sense of deeper connectedness with each other. And I think that's a great place to start. I think it's a
It's,
brilliant place to start.
that's the only place to start. If you want to approach life from a spiritual perspective, which is what we're doing, reverence is being able to look through the shell of what we see and see the divine there, and call upon the awareness of that presence, whether it's in a person or a plant or a relationship or in the mirror. We have to be able to look through all the facades and see the spiritual presence there. That's where every relationship begins to build.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we're conscious.
Yeah, yeah. See the sacred being, I think you said.
Mm-hmm.
Sacred being. How about anything else? Like, I guess clear and safe communication. It was great because we had Russ Legier talk about nonviolent communication.
Yes,
so that one will be
yeah.
coming up at the summit if you missed it. But it was a wonderful sharing and a wonderful conversation. Dive more into that clear and safe communication.
Well, we all know that when we're in relationships, if we're not feeling safe in the relationship, we won't be able to say what's on our mind. And the conduit through which every relationship finds balance and wholeness is making it a safe place to be who you are, and allow the other person to be, or people to be who they are. And if we can't allow safe communications, then we're already have one foot on the banana peel. Communication is not just what we say, but it's how we feel. And to be able to receive the imprint of another person's essence is communication. Not just their words, but to read their energy as well. And sometimes being safe is not just the words that come out of our mouth, it's the energy we exude. And created a safe space for other people to have that same space for them without them feeling that we're intimidating them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you know this, but we have our group agreements for men's groups. And that's number one, safety and trust. That's number one on our list, because without those things, you don't really you can't be your authentic self. It's not.
And Evan, the reality is when we're not making it a safe place for people to say what's on their mind, they hold back, we hold back. And then what happens is resentment builds. And because you're not being invited to share all of who you are and what you're feeling, or the other person, we're not letting them do that, then resentment builds, and resentment is always toxic for a relationship. Always.
Yeah. Integrity and honesty. This one kind of seems sort of obvious. If we're not in integrity and if we're not honest, then we're not really showing up in the relationship on some level.
Yeah, integrity I think of as an inner experience, how we conduct our lives from the inside out, and honesty is how that shows up in the world. Spiritual integrity, the word integrity comes from the word integrate, which means to integrate. When we're present in the moment and we're aware that we're spiritual beings, we integrate that awareness into every word, deed, and action that we enter into. That's living in spiritual integrity. And honesty is how it shows up in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I do want to counter a little bit, like sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves. Sometimes some mirror work is required. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself.
No, that's where it all begins. If you can't be honest with yourself, there's no way you can be honest with somebody else.
Right. And I think there's levels of that within ourselves. There's levels of honesty, I think, to a certain extent, of like, yes, there's maybe kind of like, I don't want to rock the boat, so I'm just going to be like, yes, hey, I'm fine. Oh, it's good. When really at a deeper level, when we take a moment and we pause and take that breath, we're like, yeah, wait a minute, what is really going on with me? And I find for me, I could speak for me as a guy, I need more time to sit with that. I need to go out in nature. I need to take a walk. I need to really be by myself to fully access that sense of deeper understanding of what's really going on for me.
That's the process of self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the attributes that we as human beings have been given. That no other living creature has the ability to think a thought and then step outside of the thought and look at it and feel it and smell it and taste it and prod it and see if it works or not. And if it doesn't work, change it. No other creature has that ability to be self-aware but us, human beings. So it's an amazing gift that most people don't even realize. When you look in the mirror every morning, when you see that being looking back at you with the sunken eyes and the hair growing out of his ears and whatnot, we have to be able to become aware of our own process when we're judging who we see in the mirror. And not loving it the way it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. I think that we'll get to that other piece of the reflectivity of all of these. But I want to get through them first. Loving kindness and compassion. Yes, crucial.
Well, kindness is an outward action. Again, compassion is if we look through the eyes of compassion, we bring the highest part of ourselves to the world, which is to bring non-judgment as well. Loving kindness, I picked that up from studying Buddhism. Kindness is an attribute of somebody who has no agenda of creating harm. Kindness is inviting people into a more spacious place in the moment where we can be real with them and be honest with them, and to extend the reverence that we talked about earlier.
Yeah. It is that practice. It really is. I think the Buddhists definitely do that and support us in exploring that in a deeper way, on a deeper level, as well as non-judgment, right?
There is a lifetime practice, man. Learn how not to judge. Again, that starts in the mirror.
Yeah,
and then extend that to the world around us. And I'm very emphatic in my teachings about non-judgment, because the minute we do that, we separate ourselves from God. If there's only one of us here, the minute we begin to judge others, we separate ourselves from that one. That's not a good move.
Yeah. And it's so easy to do, though, like in the world that really actively wants us to judge, social media and all these things. It's like, judge, did you like this? And now they have videos on YouTube where people are commenting on people's comments on some scenario. So it's like commenting on comments.
Well, we're going to have to look further than the electoral process with the candidates right now. There's a huge amount of judging, and it's vitriol, and it's nasty, and it's meant to hurt.
Yeah.
And most judgment, whether we know it or not, is got an edge to it that hurts others. By the process of hurting ourselves too.
Yeah.
If there's only one of us here, we begin to judge others. Who else are we judging? Ourselves.
Right. And even buying into that sense of separation and illusion, there is almost an egoic thing of like wanting to put someone down or raise ourselves up, instead of seeing that equality, seeing that I can relate to your experience, that sense of empathy with others that I think is so necessary to cultivate and develop for us as men, especially.
Yeah. And again, it goes back to self-awareness. If we can observe ourselves when we enter into that judgmental mode, we can stop and do something about it. But a lot of times we get so sucked up in the energy of it that we're not even aware that we're judging.
Yeah. It's a tricky one. I love all these, Dennis. Thank you, because they're very much in alignment with our agreements that we use in all of our groups, our group agreements, and necessary and imperative. And if you're looking at these and going, I have some, or I could work on that one, or I need maybe a little more compassion in my life, or whatever it is, where do we practice these?
Where do we practice them?
Yes, I would say men's groups are the ideal place for practice for us, because it is that imperative experience of being in a safe environment, allowing ourselves to be who we are, where we are, to be our authentic selves, and also to make mistakes, and sometimes judge, and sometimes, not have compassion and other things like that. And I think in a men's group, or for me, I can speak for me, it was a whole different experience of being with 6 or 7 other men who were actively practicing these as well. And so if I forgot, if I had some judgment, or if I had some lack of integrity, or if I wasn't communicating in a safe way, then you just have to look to the group, and the group really supports you. Like we had a saying, if it gets heated, you got to stay seated. So that was about creating.
I remind you, I attended one of your men's retreats.
You did. You were our guest speaker.
And everything you're saying was accurate to what the environment you created there was. There was like 30 or 40 guys there. It was a very safe environment for everybody to be who they were. And frankly, I found myself at several times just slipping into judgment where I had to go, whoa, come on back to the truth about all this, because when we get people to show up as they are, we have to really make sure that we're keeping our intention focused from a spiritually grounded place. And that's hard to do sometimes when people let down their guard and become who they really are. Yeah. So you've done a great job of creating that environment in your men's groups.
Thank you. It is that imperative thing that we need to do to create safety. Yep. So many of us men haven't had safety in our lives.
Oh, no.
True safety. So to be in a group, and a spiritual group like we do, we have these practices, and they're called, there's a core agreements, there's practices, and there's skills in our group agreements. So there's things that we're practicing at, and skills that we're learning, and also these core kind of safety, trust, confidentiality, communication, self-care, greater knowing.
And it's good to be reminded of that on a regular basis too. It's not just a one-time pass by.
Absolutely.
Every time you get together with a group of guys, it's a great thing to remind everybody of, so it's top of mind awareness for them.
Yeah. It's necessary for sure to go over it on a regular basis in a men's group. But I want to take this, and I kind of alluded to this, but I want to take this and flip it a little bit, relationships and thriving, and taking these 5 steps and putting it into the mirror of how are we doing with ourselves on these things? How are you being reverent and respectful, clear and safe communications, integrity and honesty, loving kindness and compassion? I don't know about you guys. I have
a lot of buttons there, man.
Yeah.
One thing to say, treat other people that way, but to say treat yourself that way.
Yeah.
It lights you up,
Right.
It does. Right. Yeah, it does.
So, and then of course non-judgment. So would you just speak on that for a minute, Dennis, on what is how do we go deeper into that within ourselves?
Well, I love the saying, I don't remember where I heard it. Everywhere I look, I see the face of God. Everywhere I look, I see the face of God. And if we can't see that in the mirror first, then we'll never be able to see it in other people. As I said earlier, I like to play the peel the onion game with people, where I invite them to stand in front of the mirror and just to become the observer, silent witness to how judgmental we are of ourselves. Like I said, the hair growing out of the nose, the ears, the eyebrows are turning barbed wire. As you get older, you start judging yourself more, I think. Well, maybe not. Maybe you guys judge yourselves for different things. So learning how to peel away the layers of who we think we are, and become more clear on why we are, which is part of the conversation I think I want to have too.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's so important. Like for myself, I always say, if I can't find it within myself, then it's harder to find out in the world. So if I'm lacking compassion, or if I'm being real judgy with other people, like on the highway driving, or whatever the situation, my latest practice has been, okay, where am I judging myself? Where am I not finding compassion with myself? And I try and amp that up, that energy of compassion or integrity or love, self-caring, whatever it is, that would be the kind of the cure or the opposite of what I'm experiencing, to try and draw that out from within myself, to have more compassion for me, which then gives me more compassion for others. So,
which circles back around even to the point of self-awareness. If we don't have the ability to observe our own thoughts, feelings, deeds, and actions, there's no way that we're going to be able to extend that to the world. When we become aware of what's going on in our mind and in our heart, we can monitor it and change what's not working for us. But we have to be aware to do that.
Yeah, it does take that awareness. I love that. ABC, awareness builds consciousness.
I've used that as an acronym for years and years and years.
Yeah, it's a good one.
At the end of the day, consciousness prevails. Consciousness is the determining factors in what direction it's going.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you mentioned, like this is kind of the first piece of relationships and finding purpose. And part of our purpose is being with others in the world.
Well, that's not just part of our purpose. It's at the core of our purpose is to be in relationship. Why do you think there's only one of us? We know there's one of us, but why do you think infinite intelligence put 8 billion people on the planet? So it could experience itself in 8 billion different ways by relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. You came up with these three like questions: who are we? What are we? Why are we? And I love that. I love that because and I think we kind of answer those things like, who am I? Well, I'm a man. I'm a human being. I'm also a spiritual being. Maybe that speaks a little bit into what we are, these spiritual beings incarnating, expressing through these physical experiences of body and heart and mind, these five senses that we have that tie us to this physical experience. But then the why are we? Simon Sinek talks about this. What's your why? And I love that guy. It's like, what's your why? And that is really, I think, speaks to what is your purpose?
Exactly right. Purpose. Why are you here? You think we're here just to suck air and jam stuff down our pie hole till the day we leave the planet? No. We're here to be the vessel through which and as which infinite intelligence experiences itself and essentially loves itself. And that's the why we're here. If we're not utilizing the why, then the other things don't really matter. Because why is where our mission is, to know that who we are and what we're doing in the world is making the world a better place by being in the why. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I know I'm one with the all. I'm one with every person I encounter is part of my why.
Yeah, almost speaks to generativity. How can we be more generative? How can that deeper sense of purpose be a part of my every single day waking life? Why?
Mindfulness. Mindfulness. It's being aware that you're aware that you're aware, bringing that awareness in every moment. As I said in the presentation I made earlier, we already come. We're here to bring the gifts that we are each uniquely equipped to share with the world. The important thing is to realize the gift that we bring to the planet is already contained in the life we have. It's not about going out and getting it. It's about drilling down into the essence of our being and finding that gift and bringing it to the world in a way that's fearless and joyful and compassionate and joy and all the other qualities that we talked about.
I have a great story around that, Dennis. So before I went to ministerial school, I'm like, okay, I better get clear on what's the point of this. Being a neurodiverse person, I did not want to go back to school. I was in active resistance to it for many years. It took me years to get into ministerial school. But before I did, I took a year and I just sat with the question of, if this is what is mine to do? Like, Spirit, what am I here to do? Like, if I'm going to go through this process, what is on the other end of it? If basically, if we can have what we say we can have in this philosophy, which is our heart's desire, we can have our highest and greatest good, then what is that? And so I really sat with that for a long time and thought about it and intellectualized it and felt it, and did a lot of processing around it. And ultimately one day it was like, Eamon, you've been doing men's work for 30 years. You've been doing Science of Mind for 30 years. Just mash those two together. It's not that complicated. And I was just gobsmacked, because it was like, no, that's, at first I was like, no, that's too easy. But it's literally,
Even what you're saying is you're blending the who with the what to result in the why right there.
Yeah. And it was just so perfect, because I'm like, oh, duh, of course, my life has been being prepped to do the very thing that I have the gifts and talents. Because of my neurodiversity, I'm really good with feeling the room and things like that, working with people, working with groups. And so it's a perfect fit for me. And plus, it's my joy. It's the thing that has saved my life, quite honestly, but it's also the thing that has allowed my life to thrive beyond my wildest dreams. I can't even imagine who I'd be without this philosophy and without men's work at this point in my life.
As I've said on a number of occasions, Science of Mind saved my life.
Yeah.
In 1977, when I discovered the teaching, my life was on fire. I don't not mean in a good way.
Mm.
And so when I discovered the self-awareness and my oneness with life and with the universe, it changed everything. Every aspect of who I am, why I am.
Yeah. It's powerful.
I hear you. By the way, life itself is the school. It's in session 365 days a year, 7/24. You can't run. You run, but you can't hide. Life is the school itself.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk a little bit more about, finding this sense of purpose. How, like, for somebody who maybe isn't like, oh, it's really clear like it was for me, although it took a long time to get to that place of clarity.
Yeah.
So you need to be patient with it, and ask the question, like, what's mine to do? And sometimes it's like, take the step in front of you and take the next step in front of you. But if we're looking at, Dennis, how would someone kind of get more in touch with what their purpose is?
That's a hell of a question.
It's a big question.
The very first book I ever wrote 10, 15, 20 years ago was The Art of Being, 101 Ways to Practice Purpose in Your Life. And it was in the writing of that book that I became aware that purpose is not a point of arrival. One day when you got all blue skies and green lights and everything's perfect, then you're on purpose. Your purpose is found every moment of every day. It's right in front of you. Whether it's a person we're talking with, whether it's a customer we're dealing with, whether it's walking down the street picking up broken glass on the highway, it doesn't matter. Your purpose is to be fully expressed as the individuation of God in the present moment. That's why we're here. God said, go there and be me. Here we are. How are you going to fulfill that purpose? By mindfully being present in every moment, that who you are is more than what you see in the mirror.
Let's just take that in.
It's that easy and it's that hard.
Yeah.
It's that easy, it's hard because you want to overcomplicate it. We don't have to. When I was having dinner with Don Miguel Ruiz, the gentleman who wrote the Four Agreements, one night, I said, Don Miguel, what do you think our purpose in life is? And he smiled, took a drink of water. I had my pen and paper. I was going to write down some deep, profound letter, his comments. What he said, he just smiled and says, to have fun. Purpose is to have fun. And I watched him integrating with people that night. And he was having fun every moment of the day. Everything he said and did was coming from a place of fun. So when we're on purpose, we realize we're having fun. There's three keynote points to know you're on purpose. The first question is, am I having fun every day? Am I having fun? That's why we're here. We're not here to drudge and through life and be suffering and unconscious. We're here to have fun and be expressive of life. The second question is, am I growing every day? Living things grow. Living things grow. When you stop growing, you start dying. And the third thing is, am I making a difference on the planet? Am I lifting other people into their highest and best too? Because there's only one of us here. When I do that, I'm lifting myself as well. That's purpose.
Yeah. Wow. Fun, growing, making a difference every day.
Yep.
As a person who kind of takes myself a little too serious sometimes, the fun is, I think it's good that it's number one. I'm gonna keep that one at the top of the list, Dennis.
Well, if you're not having fun, you shouldn't be doing it. Whatever it is, if you're not having fun, you shouldn't be doing it. And don't tell me you can't incorporate fun in everything you do, because you can if you're conscious and aware.
Yeah.
What keeps us from having fun is being attached to the results. You notice our bodies are always present in the moment, but where's our mind a lot of the time? It's either out in front of us or behind us. We can't have fun when our mind's not present in the moment of what we're doing.
Yeah. Past or future. Be in the now. Be in the now, as Eckhart Tolle.
Yep.
I loved what you said. Passion for life, what gives you joy and fulfillment, and what gives our lives meaning.
Yeah.
So that's maybe another way of saying those things. Passion for life, joy and fulfillment, and meaning.
Well, when we realize that we're living on purpose, meaning comes with that. If you think you're going to find meaning in more possessions, you're wrong. Because you're on the hedonic treadmill. There'll always be more things you want to have in order to find meaning in your life. Meaning comes through being aware that you're one with life and that you're here to be the conduit through which it expresses itself. That's how you extract meaning out of every moment. By being present in the moment and loving what you do and loving who you are and giving the highest best that you can to everybody you're with.
Absolutely. I just appreciate your consciousness, Dennis. You always kind of bring it back to those core things, which is, the core thing. We are spirit. We are this creative, expressive embodiment of this living, force that's in, through, and as all things.
Yep.
And currently in and through and as this, human being that has a higher mind and consciousness and all of this stuff. And it's so easy to get distracted and squirrel here and there these days. And so to be resolute in centering in that place, I think is a foundational piece for us as men, for us as human beings, but for us as new thoughters to really be rooted in that. And that everything really expresses from that. And so
first cause is where it starts. I've written 7 books, and circling, bringing every book that comes back full circle to the first one. It's always about being present in the moment and realizing you're part of something larger than yourself. If you just embody that, the rest of your life will unfold and take care of itself beautifully.
Yeah. Dennis, so much more. We could probably talk for hours and hours about this stuff, and we have actually in some of our coaching sessions.
Right.
So I really appreciate it, and I think the question that I'd like to close with is one that I've been asking a lot of the guys who've been on the podcast, and that's, what does healthy masculinity look like in the 21st century?
First off, I think it looks like getting in touch with that you are a full-bodied man, that irrespective of where your politics are or anything else, you have to be in touch with the idea that you put here the man's body for a reason. Why? To be God expressing himself in a man. And you can't do that if you're not willing to live to the highest potential of what that means. There is too much masculine toxic masculinity going on the planet. We see that in politics right now too. Ours is to transcend that belief system, that mindset, and bring the wholeness that we know we are to the world. And as conscious men, we do that in ways that no offense to women do it differently, not better or worse, differently than men do. And so men have this ability to make a difference on the planet by letting themselves be fully transparent and loving themselves for who they are and bringing that love to the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's beautiful. It's just and a lot of the other guys have talked about that. How do we open our hearts? How do we make our whole selves available to not only ourselves but the ones we love, to our communities, to the world, to be able to share our authentic self rather than be in these boxes of masculinity, these rigid kind of social structures that keep us in this narrow understanding of what it is. And so I think it takes this spiritual organization or this spiritual beingness to really pull us out of that societal construct and say, no, we're more than that. We're greater than that.
Yeah. Well, if you peel away all the layers, again, you find who you are at the core of your being, your pure essence, your pure one with God. And in that awareness, everything that, again, the gifts that we bring to the planet are contained within the life we have. It's a matter of peeling away the layers to discover them and share them. And as men, we have a particularly unique way to do that, and it's a gift. We should not take that for granted. It's a blessing.
Yeah. 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 And we're here to be blessed and to bless others. Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today. I just want to share with you how you can get a hold of Dennis is DennisMerrittJones.com.
2 R's, 2 T's.
2 R's, 2 T's, DennisMerrittJones.com. And he's got how many? 7 books?
7 books.
7 books.
I want to tell your group that every book I have, there's a study guide available for it, free study guide. You can go to my website and download, as well as free ebooks and all kinds of stuff. So go to my website and just explore. You'll find all kinds of goodies that you can download free.
Awesome. I know we'll be using some of your books for some of our online teachings and sharing that. Dennis's latest one is When Fear Speaks, Listen. Right. It's what a timely book right now. So Dennis, thank you for your brilliance. Thank you for your service to this New Thought community. Thank you for your wisdom. I so appreciate you just as a human being, as someone I know. I'm just so grateful to have you here with us today and so grateful to have you in my life. I appreciate you.
You're doing a wonderful job at what you're doing. You're making a huge difference in a lot of people's lives. And guys, if you're watching this and you haven't connected with him personally to get involved in one of his groups, do it, because it'll change your life for the better.
Thanks, Dennis. So this wraps up for today. Thanks so much, Dennis. We'll definitely have you back for more conversations, and there's more to come, so stay tuned in.
Cool. Peace.
I hope you enjoyed this interview from the New Thought Men's podcast. For instant access to all podcast interviews, talks from our summit, men's groups, and so much more, join us at newthoughtmens.community. Thanks so much for being with us today. There's more to come, so stay tuned in.